Oh, yeah.
I would like to invite Stephen up, the rat, my uncle Rat.
Hey, Steve.
Stephen's going to come up and have a bit of a chat. Stephen's, please be understanding that because he cares about everyone else first, he's worried about his beautiful wife sitting inside there with a few battled bruises. It's hard enough to talk about this man as it is, I know, especially for you. So please give Stephen some patience here, and I look forward to what you have to say.
Yeah, thanks, Terence. Good on you, mate. Yeah, first I can see that Andrew is here tonight because he used to give Helen, my wife, quite a hard time, called a half pint and the pygmy, and really stirring her like he does, in good fun, and so he definitely pushed her in the pool tonight. Yeah. Look, I'm just coming from a different angle with this too. I'm 4 years older than Andrew, so we grew up together, and we're always very, very close. And so I just like to talk about a little bit of our journey and where it took us. And we from when Andrew was about 8 or 9 years old, we'd knock around together, and Mum and Dad always had land, and we'd make build forts in the bush and all that sort of thing. And our sister Jane used to follow us around. We used to try and sneak away so she couldn't see us, but she always found us, didn't you, Jane?
Of course.
Yeah. Anyway, we used to build forts in the bush and tree houses, and way back then, Andrew's creativity, it was showing through then, because we built a big tree hut once in this tree that Dad told us not to build the tree house in. Anyway, and Andrew sort of looked at it and said, well, it's a good idea to put a fireplace in it. What do you reckon? And so we did, but so you can imagine what happened. So we had to head down the bush when Dad came home. We stayed down there till dark, and so we had lots of adventures together. And then Mum and Dad bought a supermarket out at Cressy, in one of the country towns in Tassie, and it was a great place. There's some of the best fishing in the world out there in the weirs, and we used to ride our bikes around the country and catch a lot of trout and had a great time. But that was the place where our musical journey began, and that's with our older brother Roger, who was 6 years older than me. He had a band back then, and we used to really envy him and watch him. And anyway, we had a big old guitar, and we Andrew used 3 chords, and we used to be upstairs, up above the shop in our little bedroom, playing away. And the song, I'll never forget it, was Diana by Paul Anka, and we actually put it down on tape. But and we built a stage out in the backyard, and I made drums out of tins and called ourselves the Bears. And that's where we took off. And Jane was on stage once again with us, and you were dancing then, Jane. I think. Where is she? Where is she?
Over here.
Oh, yeah, hiding. Yeah. And she still dances. She's a great dancer. But little did we know back then that starting off in the backyard in a country town with our tins and old guitar, that one day we'd end up on the Gold Coast playing professionally and backing all sorts of artists, and having a great journey. And there's a few people here tonight that have shared that journey with us too. And Mal is over here. Mal Gorston, you probably don't know him, but that guy is one of the best Elvis impersonators in the world. I'm just so pleased he's here. So I'm looking now. I've got a few notes here. But just a snapshot of our journey. And I left home. I went away, did an apprenticeship, and got married, whatever. And so for a few years we were apart, and I played with my brother in the band. And Andrew went to college, and he also played in my brother's band as well. We all played with that's Terence's dad, who passed away too a few months after Andrew. And so I know they're together, and it's good that they're that was a bit of a shock, but Roger was quite an ill man though. He was had a bit of a battle But anyway, moving from that though, we formed the band. Later on, I left home anyway, and Andrew did the college thing, so we were apart for a few years, and then I got a phone call from Andrew one day, "Hey Rat, we're gonna get a band together," which we did. And Andrew was the instigator, the visionary, as usual, and the driving force, a real driving force. And the first thing he said, "We're not going to be playing any crap." I'll get to you. Yeah, we're not going to be playing any crap. Yeah, and he wanted to do original music, you know, and that band was called Oasis, and we did a lot of work down the west coast of Tassie. We travelled all over the place. We did talent quests for the radio station. We ended up also being sponsored by the Arts Council in Tassie, and first band to ever go around the schools doing pop music, all that sort of thing. And that was back in the days where you did music in a school, it was a violin or a flute, you know. And it was so different. And that was a great journey doing all those things. And just an offshoot of that, years later, I played with some guys, and they played jazz and all sorts of stuff, and the piano player was brilliant. And we did quite a few gigs together. And this guy was a teacher, and one day he said to me, he said, "Oh, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you guys, you know." And I said, what do you mean? He said, "I saw you guys, you came round the school and put on the show," and he said, "I was that impressed, you know, I decided to take up music." So he went to conservatorium in music and studied, became a teacher. And Peter Stewart, Amanda, you know Pete, at the school, and my daughter Amanda taught there too later. Yeah, so that was, and really that gets back to Andrew. He instigated doing all that, going around the schools and the talent quests and everything like that. But that's when we, hang on a sec, I'll turn a page.
No.
Good stuff. Yeah, I'll turn a page, hang on, I've missed the page.
Want an easel?
I just got notes here. There you go. There seems to be a leaf missing.
Oh no.
Good one.
But Andrew said he'd always be looking to better himself, you know, and better the band. We all had to be, you know, really on the ball. And so he said, "Let's go to Queensland." So we did. We packed up everything. We had a big trailer, all the gear. We went to Queensland, and we, as I said, played on the Gold Coast. Did a lot of things. We recorded jingles and put down tracks and everything. And and then we eventually, after about 12 months, we came back home and went our separate ways again. And then it was when we formed again about after another 2 years, and Mal came into it then. I think the Bears on chairs, and we did lots of shows together. Yeah, but having Andrew as a little brother, it did really keep me on my toes. We had a heck of a journey with the bands. We had a great time, but going on stage with him, you never really knew what was going to happen. You know, he was full of mischief, and he really loved playing up to the crowd. He's one of the best front men I've ever played with. He was just so much fun on stage. He really loved his music. He'd dance, you know, and bold as brass. And he'd always make sure that we played to our best as well. And danced around the stage, and always he would tread on his guitar cord. He'd be playing around, dancing, and next thing, boom, and everything would go dead. He'd be there, cursing, where's the F in this? And, you know,
What's happened here?
yeah. But you remember Terence, don't you? Yeah. But going on a road trip with him, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. We used to hire a ute sometimes before we had a big trailer and whatever. We'd hire a ute. So anyway, we'd all get together, we'd load the ute up, and he would make sure before we got in that ute, that he'd filled up his guts with all the food.
Pickled onions.
And garlic and the smelling stuff. And he'd always insist on sitting in the middle of the ute when we drove. And he said, "Oh, it's a bit chilly. Oh, better wind the windows up, boys." All right. Yeah. Get down the road. Something's burning. Something's burning. Of course.
Someone smell gas?
Yeah. And we'd be windows down on a freezing cold. Oh, yeah. It was terrible. You never knew. And on the way home from the gig, he'd sit in the middle again. Then he became what we called the nodding dog. He'd go to sleep straight away. We'd drive, driving hundreds of kilometres sometimes. There he'd be sitting up there in the ute. Next thing the head's going, it's like a big bowl, and boom, boom, boom. And next thing like this, and then bang on the back of the ute. So we called him the nodding dog. Yeah. The food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weddings and all that sort of thing, and functions. There's always food, and the band's always there early, and the caterers go home, and everything's left there to bring out later on. And that's so. It was Andrew's favourite thing to go in the kitchen to see what's in there. Hey, Rat. Hey, what? There's trifle in here. Sandwiches, yeah. Cheesecake. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Load up the car.
And he'd be in there, and always there'd be a trifle or a cheesecake or something like that going back home with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was terrible. Yeah, and if we had to stay overnight, oh dear. He was the first one to fall asleep, and that was the end of it. You couldn't sleep with Andrew in the room. Yeah. It'd be like like the fat sheep in Shaun the sheep, yeah. You snore all night, yeah. And we go out for a meal before we played or whatever, and I'll have a steak, please, yeah. How do you want your steak, sir? Cut his horns off, wipe his arse and bring him in. That's what he'd say, but just some of the trips that I just I don't want to bore you with it at all, but
Keep going, Steve.
We used to go to Flinders Island sometimes, and they'd charter a plane for us. And if you know Flinders Island, it's off out in the Bass Strait somewhere. Yeah.
Good.
And it's not good. Airstrip's not good.
You'll find it.
The planes that fly there are not good. Yeah. And we used to go over in this old heron plane. And it called it a heron because it had a big bump in the cockpit. I think the pilot used to stick his head out like this, And it's twin engines, and they take all the seats out, and we'd load up all our gear. And I'm sure Terence came. Yeah. Terence was our guitarist then, and that was the pilot would try and terrify us. All the seats would be gone. They left a couple for us to sit in, and we'd all sit up there, and he'd take us through the mountains. You take off from Launceston Airport, and you can cut through the mountains over Scottsdale, and the wind shear and the bumps and all that, and it was terrifying. And Andrew would be up the front there, and the head was going around. And before we'd come in the land, they'd have to make sure there's no sheep or kangaroos or anything on the airstrip.
Buzz the strip.
So buzz the strip, and down we'd go, and all our stomachs would be And we get to the old hall, and they'd line the old halls out with branches, wattle branches and things, because they used to echo so much so they'd hang old branches around. And then we'd go crayfishing, and we had a friend there who had a crayfish boat, so we'd always come back with a lot of crayfish, and they were good days, Terence.
They were very good.
Yeah, they were. Hang on a sec, I want to turn a page.
How many more?
If you need a drink, fill up.
The good bits are coming.
You can't go.
Yeah.
I'm running out of tape.
This is my favourite part of the show. What's that? Yeah.
We're running out of tape.
No, it's only a few. Before we formed the band called Shark in the Fin Men, we had another guitarist with us, and Terence was only a young fella. He lived up on the mountain and with his dad and mum, and up at Poatina, and he was always playing his guitar, and he was great. We always were watching him, and and he ended up having his own little band called the Cockatoo Cowboys. And,
Oh,
Andrew, yeah, the Cockatoo Cowboys, yeah. Great band. Yeah.
I was going to say something then, but it wouldn't be appropriate.
But Andrew had his eye on Terence, and he said, gee, he's good, Terence, you know, he's really, you know, he's going to be a great guitarist one day, you know. You know, unfortunately it didn't happen, but anyway.
Yeah, that was coming.
Yeah, that one. Brilliant. Love your work.
Yeah, hang on, I've got to find the spot.
Hang on. You're a drummer. Do you want us to go 1, 2, 3?
No, that's all right.
What page you up to?
One stuck together. That's it.
Is there pictures on it?
Yeah. Oh, I found it.
Oh, bugger.
Andrew said the kid's got talent. I want him on stage. You know, he should join the band with us.
What a fool.
I was a bit worried. I said no. I said he's too big. Look at the size of his paws. He won't be able to fit him on stage. But anyway, look, Terence joined us and the band took off. Terence and Andrew working together were just brilliant, you know. You know, right up to the very end, you guys were, yeah. And Terence, yeah, I've got to really thank you, mate, for how you looked after Andrew and mentored him, because Andrew mentored Terence for many years, you know, and they're great mates, but the tables were turned later. Terence was mentoring Andrew with the music and showing him, and yeah.
Turned again.
Yeah, yeah. And we're very proud of Terence's achievements, so we really are.
On you, Terence.
Yeah. This man is a legend. There's only 4 more pages to go. Hang on. We kept him on the straight and narrow. Yeah.
Yeah, pinch
Who's that? Yeah. Put some money there. Yeah. Hang on. The best bit's yet to come. Wait a minute. Yeah. Right. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'll read that one. Yeah. Now wait a minute. Wait a minute. No.
This is at all angles.
No. Okay. Now. Yeah. No, there's something. But yeah, like his quotes. You know, Andrew, you know, was a very creative man. He was one of his quotes. You know, what he's got on his album too is for me, creativity should be a beginning and never an end.
Yeah.
That's the man he was. He was driven to achieve and create, and 110% in everything he tackled. You know, and retirement. No. He didn't want to retire. He just wanted to keep creating. We can still do that in retirement, but often, you know, I get phone calls early in the morning. What are you doing, Rat? You're still in bed, are you? I just wheeled 100 metres of gravel.
No, he didn't.
But yeah, and as we know, like, you know, it's been said tonight, you know, he's brilliant. His landscaping, his design skills, and everything in the music too. You know, yeah, it was just off the scale. So, but years ago, he encouraged me to purchase some land in Tassie, some acreage in a new estate, because we lived in just in the suburbs. And he always said to me, "Think outside the box, Rat. Think outside the box." So, it's the best advice I've ever had. We built a home there, and it was great. We had animals, and the kids grew up there. And but we built it there. We had a lovely time, you know. And but 12 months later, guess who moved next door? He bought the land next door. Right. And living next door to Andrew is not like living next door to Alice. I can tell you.
Less F's. No.
6 a.m. outside my bedroom window again, you know. What are you doing, Rat, you lazy beggar? Come on, we've got fencing to do, you know. Anyway, my goat got off, went over to his place and ate all his nice garden. Andrew built a beautiful chook house, real fancy, put all these chooks in it. So my little Jack Russell went over and worked it out how to get in there. She burrowed underneath and killed all his chooks.
Oh no.
My boys looking out the window. Dad, the angry troll's coming down the drive again. If you know Andrew, that was his nickname, the Angry Troll. Yeah, quite a few, and I had a few too, Pinocchio and all that sort of thing, and Mr. Squiggle, and all in good jest. Yeah. But he hooked his trousers up under his arms and down the drive he'd come, and all the bleeping. Yeah. But the fencing in the rain, and but he'd always be over in his little room and typing out songs with his little typewriter, one finger. And and writing songs, and but we had some good years up there, as Chris would know, and killed lots of tiger snakes and shared the shotgun, all that sort of thing. But it was always his dream to return to Tassie. Yeah, and he always talked about the good times, the crayfishing, the abs, and things we used to do. And he wanted to buy a land again out where we live. We live in a area right out on estuary, and it's a beautiful spot, and it's peaceful and it's great. But he it wasn't all that long ago he talked to me about moving back down again, he said. And when he told me I couldn't sleep that night, no, this is not going to be good. No, and I had nightmares of him outside my window again. And he said we can do some fencing and building again, and but I've retired, earned my rest, and but I still have a full and busy life, and the last piece I want to tell you.
Oh shit, there's 100.
Thank you. If they bring me something to drink, I'll keep going.
Get him a drink.
But Andrew, as we know, he's one of a kind. It's left a huge void in our life that he's gone. And when he entered the room, you knew he was there. He'd come in, hook up the trousers, and Terence was terrified what he'd say sometimes.
Oh shit, yeah.
Terence said, he said, "Oh shit, yeah." Oh dear. Yeah. But very artistic, creative, perfectionist. Yeah, kind. But he was very kind and motivational. He was a great little brother. I'll be honest, at times he was a pain in the backside.
Yep.
Used to drive me crazy, but the last time we played together, it was at Terence's party. It was 3 years ago. Andrew got on stage, and it's the first time the three of us have been together for 30 years. Yeah,
28 years it was, right?
28 years, yeah. Once again on stage, come on, Rat, hit the drums, dancing, chunk, on the lead again. He actually broke it. It was down to 2 songs. Yeah. My son Ben was there at the time. He came up with me, and he was so emotional about it too. Seeing
Yeah, he was.
Yep. And
Us, you and I were too.
we were emotional.
For other reasons.
Yeah, for other reasons, But, honestly, I was so looking forward to growing old with him, because he would have been hilarious. He would have been a hilarious old man. We would have had so much fun. Yeah. Especially in the nursing home, I would have let his tyres down. That's for sure. Yeah. But I got to say, I owe him a lot in so many ways, because he was the driving force and motivator for a lot of the journey with our music, and in life decisions, in doing things. And we had a lot of fun. Daughter Amanda, where are you, Don? Over there. Yeah, there you are. Yeah, when we came to Queensland and played, and my 3 kids were only little then, and they had a great time. We lived in caravan parks, and but I really just wished he'd understood how much he meant to us all and how much we loved him. And I know that his leaving us has left a huge hole in our lives. But we'll always have some great memories, and I've got to say, I'm very proud that he was my little brother, and I was very privileged to be part of his journey. And I shall miss the phone calls and the stirring and the name calling, there's no doubt about that. And also he always used to send me the funniest cards, always with a big rat on it, or a big nose or something like that. Yeah, and I know, one day when we meet again, I know what he's going to say. About time you got here, Rat. You should have been here years ago. But some time ago, the famous evangelist Billy Graham, he said, don't mourn me when I'm gone, and don't be sad because I've only changed my address.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what he's done. So, yeah. And so, farewell, little brother, until we meet again.
Yeah.
And thanks for pushing my wife in the pool too. Thanks, guys.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
You still got big paws.